Welcome back, Guardians, to another Destiny video. And in today's Destiny video, we're going to be talking about the future live event and new content update that came from the Bungie update this week at Bungie yesterday. That'll be linked in the video description. Now, I'm going to be doing a giveaway in this video, but it's going to be throughout the video, so keep an eye out for it. So when this first was announced, I sat here and thought it's probably going to be some sort of extended Valentine's Day event. With all of the rewards coming to Sparrow Racing League for Crimson Doubles, I don't think we're going to get just Crimson Doubles. I believe it's going to make its return and maybe with new loot, but there might be an extended Valentine's Day event to make the game last a little bit longer, because Crimson Doubles was like a weekly event or something. I think a week or 2 weeks, I can't even remember. But it wasn't that much content and wasn't that great of an event. So if they take Crimson Doubles and add a massive event behind it, that would be awesome. But I don't think this is the content update that they are talking about, and I genuinely think that we are going to see the return of all of the previous raids. Now, I was speaking to a friend of mine on Xbox last night. His name is Portal Runner 1, and he was talking about the Vault of Glass and the new Nexus Strike. In the new Nexus Strike, we have to fight a Taken version of a Hydra boss. I think I've only done the Nexus Strike once, so I can't remember the name of it. But you know, it's a version of the Nexus which is more Takenified than it was previously. So with that being said, you have to use the Vault of Glass shield that you fire at the Templar to break the shield. Now, Portal Runner pointed out to me that the Vault of Glass technology, he believes, should and only can be used and kept inside the Vault of Glass. So how did that relic, that shield, that thing that you use get out of the Vault of Glass and into the Nexus Strike? I think that in some way, shape or form, we're going to have to revisit the Vault of Glass and learn why this is happening, whether that's Taken enemies have taken over, or maybe Siva has infected the Vault of Glass, or maybe both of them combined, because maybe the Taken have learned how to utilize the Siva in some way, shape or form, which would make bringing back the old raids very, very interesting. Now, there was a leak before with some of the Vault of Glass weapons, or some of the previous raid weapons, I believe, remade into different weapons without their burns and without their usual names that we have seen. So with that being said, I believe we will see the return of the Vault of Glass, at least at the minimum. Now, how would I like to see this go down? I would like to see the Taken takeover, obviously. They already exist on Venus, so the starting area could be filled with Taken. All of the areas within the Vault of Glass could be overrun by Taken enemies. What would you do with Atheon though? You can't really take Atheon now that Oryx is supposedly dead, because that just wouldn't make sense. We've killed Oryx, you know, he went floating off into the sky. He may still be alive or whatever, but as we know right now, he is not alive. We've killed him. So for him to go back and take Atheon and control him in some way just does not make sense to me whatsoever. So what I would like to see is maybe there's some sort of Taken lieutenant that we're going to be introduced to, someone new that we've never seen before, who has learned how to control the Siva, and he is using the Siva to control Atheon. So it's kind of like a Siva version of Atheon being controlled by Taken enemies. So all the mobs and all the ads that are in the raid could be Taken enemies, and the big bosses could be infused with some kind of Siva being controlled by this Taken lieutenant. Now, of course, I'm just using theory, and there is nothing proved that even the raids are being remade or returned to the game. But I feel like it would be a great step forward before Destiny 2, because there's not going to be a lot of content DLC. There'll be live events here and there, but it's not going to be enough to want to play the game for most content creators, for most big hardcore players. All the people who are casual players are still, you know, catching up to the highest light level, so they're good. But all the people who are hardcore, play this game for 12-15 hours a day, or the content creators that push this game forward, are getting kind of bored of this game. We want to play other things, we want to do other things, because Destiny's not holding our attention, and that's a problem. And if they brought back the old raids, I feel like that could really be a good solid 3 months of content, of releasing one raid on 1 week, and then 3 weeks later introducing the next raid, and then 3 weeks after that introducing the next raid, and then introducing challenge mode for all 3 of the raids, where we can just get old armors and old weapons, but at the current light level, with obviously slight changes because the weapons don't fit into the current game as they once were. Now, before we wrap up and look at the other 2 raids, let's talk about the giveaway. So in this video, I'm giving away a $20 card for either PlayStation Network or Xbox One. So if you wish to be entered, make sure you are subscribed to this channel, hit the little bell next to the subscribe button and become a part of the notification squad. Hit the like button on this video, leave me a comment telling me, would you like to see the old raids return, and what do you think they are bringing with this new live content update. So let's move forward and have a quick look at the other two raids and just some ideas bouncing around my head that I'm just going to come off the top of my head and not really thought or planned any of this ahead of time. So we have the King's Fall raid, obviously, and the Crota's End raid, and we'll start with the latter. So Crota's End, in my opinion, is perfectly to be taken over as just taking enemies, nothing else involved, just all taking enemies throughout it and taking bosses. And then you get to the end with Crota. Now, we know that Crota is dead. That is why Oryx came into the game and the Taken King was invented. So, how would you remedy this? What boss would you have at the very end of Crota's End to warrant remaking it? So I believe the easiest and most obvious choice would be Falnoch. So Falnoch is in the court of Oryx and he reappears over and over again. There's no lasting death to him, like you don't kill him and he goes away forever. He returns, so maybe Falnoch is taken by, I don't know, one of Oryx's lieutenants that still can take enemies or something along those lines, and then infuses Falnoch with all these massive powers. Like, he grows in size, he's more powerful. It's the same sort of mechanics as we saw with Crota, but he obviously has taken power, so you can do extra things and have extra abilities and extra obstructions for you killing him. I would love to see the sword mechanic return where you have to knock him down and then you sword him, but maybe not have him on like a complete 100% path where he just goes left or right. Maybe he just like can move around the arena without having to be on an AI path, and then you can have him firing the little eyeballs at people or whatever the other taken abilities were. There's plenty of different things that you can make this fight and this mechanic for Falnoch a lot more complex without having to rebuild like an entire fight or anything like that. So I would definitely like to see that happen. Now let's move on to King's Fall. Now, King's Fall was more based around, you know, like teamwork and game mechanics rather than, you know, bullet sponges and just trying to kill things. But Oryx is dead, and I feel like just making it taking enemies is cheap and easy. So I would love to see King's Fall return as a Siva infested King's Fall. Maybe the Siva could feel the power of the remnants of Oryx in the King's Fall. It gets to the Dreadnought, infects the Dreadnought, so the entirety of the Dreadnought, even on patrol, is infected with Siva, and then the actual raid is 2. Where throughout the entire raid you have Siva infected enemies. You could even make Siva infected taken enemies if you really wish to, but I don't think they're going to waste money and time on that kind of design when they have pre-existing enemies in the game. So you could just have taken enemies fighting off Siva enemies and you get involved and they all fight you, type of thing that we've seen previously in Destiny. And who could be the last boss in that last room? It doesn't need to be the same mechanics. You could like break up the area, make it all Siva infested, so you don't have to do the same old mechanics of jumping on the pads, etc. But who could be there as the boss? And it could just be Axis or some kind of broken down version of Axis. Maybe we didn't actually kill him in this raid. Maybe it was just like he blows up, but you know, all those wires and everything that are on the platform kind of rebuild him or something like that, and he escapes to the Dreadnought and into the King's Fall raid. So then you can have all of the raids reinvented and changed and have new bosses in each one. And that then could just keep us going for a couple of months, 3 months, 4 months, maybe 5 months if we are lucky. But these are just all my ideas and theories. I do think we will see the return of raids, maybe not to the point where it's all reinvented with different enemies, but we might just see the previous raids brought up to current light level, which I would also be happy about. So let me know what you think down below in the video description. What do you think they're planning for the live team to create in terms of content for us? Do you think it would just be a Valentine's Day event and nothing else? Do you think it's going to be a massive April update that will, you know, make the previous April update look very small? Let me know what you think down below in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you for watching. I've been easynow and you guys have been awesome.